It is 95 degrees in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Your neighbor's garden is wilting. His tomatoes are drooping by noon. He's dragged the hose out twice already today. 20 feet away, an Amish woman hasn't touched a hose in 4 days. Her tomatoes are standing straight. Her squash vines are heavy and dark green. Her soil is cool to the touch. No drip irrigation, no soaker hose, no rain barrel. She buried something, and that something is doing the watering for her. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what it is and why the same companies selling you expensive, complicated irrigation systems really don't want this trending. Because if you build this right, you may never drag a garden hose again. The Amish don't fight the land, they feed it and it feeds them back. That's the entire philosophy, and it explains everything you're about to see. Today, we're covering 2 methods. Depending on your situation, one of them is almost certainly perfect for you, and I'll tell you which one by the end. Let's start with the older of the 2. Older by about 4,000 years. Olla pots, spelled O-L-L-A, pronounced Oya, are unglazed clay vessels. No glaze, no seal, just raw, porous, fired clay. You bury them in your garden bed up to their neck, fill them with water, and cap the top. That's it. Here's what happens. Clay is porous. When the soil around a buried olla dries out, it pulls water directly through the clay walls, only as fast as the roots need it. Wet soil, the flow slows. Dry soil, it speeds up. The system self-regulates. UC Davis found that olla irrigation reduces water use by 50 to 70% compared to drip irrigation. That's not compared to sprinklers, that's compared to drip, already considered the gold standard. A buried olla filled once keeps the surrounding root zone consistently moist for 3 to 5 days. Because water never touches the surface, you get 0 evaporation, 0 runoff, and 0 fungal disease from wet foliage. The Zuni people of the American Southwest were doing this before Europeans arrived on this continent. The Romans were doing it across the Mediterranean. The agricultural industry spent decades replacing it with pressure regulators, filter assemblies, and fertilizer injectors, none of which you need. 2 unglazed terracotta pots, same size. Seal the drainage holes, stack them rim to rim, seal that joint. Fill the hole on top, cap it with a stone to keep mosquitoes out. Bury it so only the fill hole is showing. For a standard 4x8 bed, you need 2 or 3 ollas spaced evenly. Fill them every 3 to 5 days in summer heat, once a week in mild weather. That's the whole system. The roots find the moisture. Consistent moisture eliminates blossom end rot in tomatoes, cracking in peppers, bitter cucumbers, all of which are moisture stress problems. And olla solves them at the source. Now, ollas are powerful. If you want a more efficient watering system, build ollas this weekend and you're done. But if you want a garden bed that structurally, physically does not need external watering at all after a few years, we need to talk about what the Amish bury before they plant anything. Every autumn, Amish farms don't burn their brush piles. They don't haul branches to the curb. They bury them. Old fence posts, fallen tree limbs, sawdust from the wood shop, bark chunks. It all goes underground, layered beneath the planting beds, covered with compost and topsoil. The underground wood becomes a moisture reservoir. Modern permaculture practitioners call this Hügelkultur, a German word meaning mound culture. The principle has been independently discovered by cultures on every continent. The reason is simple. It works. Rotting wood is a literal sponge. The decomposing cell walls of wood create a labyrinth of microscopic pores and tunnels. As fungi and bacteria eat through the wood, those pores widen and fill with water. Heavily decomposed logs can absorb water equal to 5 times their dry weight, sitting underground beneath your garden, available to roots, released slowly as the surrounding soil dries. A 3-year USDA-funded study at Bug Hill Farm in Ashfield, Massachusetts, compared hugelkultur beds to traditional raised beds side by side. The results? 147% more plant stems, 141% taller plants. These aren't anecdotes from permaculture forums. These are documented, published outcomes. And then there's heat. As the buried wood decomposes, the microbial activity generates warmth, enough to give your soil a 15-degree advantage over flat ground. That means planting 2 weeks earlier in spring. It means frost that kills plants in traditional beds passes harmlessly over yours. In Minnesota, gardeners are harvesting tomatoes into late October, while neighbors surrendered to frost in September. Wood selection first. This is non-negotiable. Use oak, maple, or apple. These are the gold standards. Avoid black walnut. It contains a natural herbicide that is toxic to tomatoes and peppers, and the effects last 5 to 7 years in soil. Avoid cedar. Its natural oils suppress the beneficial fungi you need. Never use treated lumber or painted wood. Those toxins leach directly into your food. Now build your layers like a lasagna, not a log pile. Start at the bottom with your largest, roughest wood. Critically, at least half of it should already be partially rotted, soft enough to push a thumb through. Pre-rotted wood comes loaded with beneficial fungi and bacteria that inoculate the fresh wood and dramatically reduce first-year problems. Pack every gap between logs with smaller branches and twigs. Every AIR pocket becomes a sinkhole as the wood settles. Above the wood, add a generous nitrogen layer, grass clippings, kitchen scraps without meat or dairy, or chicken or rabbit manure. This is what feeds the microbes, so they leave your plants alone. Top that with 2 to 4 inches of finished compost, then your regular garden soil, then mulch. Build it taller than your target height. It will settle 10 to 40% in the first 2 years. Fresh wood steals nitrogen. The microbes decomposing it will scavenge nitrogen from every source available, including your plants. Yellow leaves, stunted growth, a beautiful mound producing nothing. The fix is simple. In year 1, plant beans and peas. They fix nitrogen through bacteria in their root nodules. They're actively adding nitrogen to the soil while they grow. Add squash, potatoes, and herbs. Avoid corn, broccoli, and spinach in year 1. If you still see yellowing, side dress with blood meal or spray diluted liquid fish fertilizer directly on the leaves. The mound responds within weeks. By year 2, the problem is gone, permanently. The mound has flipped from nitrogen consumer to nitrogen producer, and it stays that way for the next 15 to 20 years. Year 1 is for establishment. You'll probably water more than you expect. Some nitrogen challenges. This is normal. Stay the course. Year 3 is when most people become true believers. Watering drops dramatically. The bed starts to regulate itself. The fungal networks are alive and working. Year 10 is when your buried wood becomes black gold. The logs have transformed into rich, dark, spongy soil. Some gardeners go 2 to 3 weeks between waterings in summer with no crop stress. And the humus that wood creates? It persists in soil for 50 to 100 years. Your great-grandchildren will still be harvesting from soil you built this fall. One critical note before you grab a shovel. If you live in Arizona, Nevada, or Southern California, Traditional above-ground hugel culture will not work. The raised mound increases surface area, increases evaporation, and cancels the water retention entirely. The solution? Dig trenches and bury the wood below grade. Sunken beds become water collection basins instead of drying racks. A Wyoming gardener with 11 inches of annual rainfall did exactly this and called those trenches the most productive, water-efficient beds in the garden. In cold climates, Minnesota, Wisconsin, New England, build your mounds tall, 6 feet or higher, and orient them in a south-facing shape to trap decomposition heat. The warmth rising from below is your growing season extension. Here's the honest answer. Small garden, limited time. Want results this weekend? So build Allah's. $3 per zone, 1 afternoon, 50% water reduction starting immediately. More space, thinking long-term. Have access to fallen wood or brush piles, so build a hugel culture bed. More labor up front, a challenging first year, and then a decade or more of a garden that increasingly waters itself. Want both? Bury Allah's inside a hugel culture bed. The wood handles long-term moisture and fertility. The Allah's bridge the gap in years 1 and 2 while the wood establishes. Several Amish farms in Pennsylvania run exactly this system. The Amish don't have a gardening secret. They have a gardening memory. They remember what we decided to forget when we bought into the promise of sprinklers, fertilizer subscriptions, and drip irrigation systems. All of that costs money, every year. More money each year as input prices climb, as water rates rise, as drought seasons get longer. A buried clay pot costs $3 and lasts 50 years. A buried log costs nothing if you have a tree in your yard, and it feeds your garden for 20. Your garden hose is not an appliance, it is a subscription. The moment you put the right things in the ground, you can cancel it. The pots are simple, the wood is free, and the garden that waters itself starts with what you choose to bury this weekend.